Hello, 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 and good morning, and welcome to the Mind Your Business Show. I am your host, Milt Walker with Silver Lining Consulting, joined today by Mr. Tony Calloway, the private money godfather of the Private Money Syndicate. How's it going today, Tony?
Man, it is a beautiful, although overcast day here in Columbus, Georgia. It's so good to see you this morning, Maestro.
It's
Thanks
good to
for
see
getting
you
us
too,
up
brother.
and running. We got an awesome show for all of our viewers. So I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in this morning and making us part of your Saturday and making us part of your life here at the show that helps you to grow, the Mind Your Business Show. So how's everything been going for you this past week, Chief Technology Officer?
It's been going really good. It's been going really good. I've been working on a few other projects and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Dealing with some media production and so on. So things have been going pretty good. Can't complain. How
Well,
about
that's
yourself?
good. Hey, revenue's coming in, man. Things are picking up.
I kind of noticed. I kind of
I guess
noticed. Yeah.
I guess we've adapted to the coronavirus, and some
Right.
lending is back in business. So if y'all need real estate loans, you need business loans, lines of credit. And somebody hit me up this morning for contract factoring. Young lady, one of our homegirls out of Roberta, Georgia, got a $40,000 grant
Okay.
that she needs some money on.
All
So
right. All
if
right.
it deals with money, we're
That's
here to help
good.
you. Please reach out to Private Money Syndicate. And this morning, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuned in to learn about how to do business across the waters, do business abroad, become international in your affairs, we have the
Oh yeah.
owners and operators of Ramp Marketing Company, Mr. Marlon Allen and Ronnie Pollard, here with us this morning. So good morning, gentlemen. How y'all
Welcome.
doing today?
Welcome.
Good morning. Doing great.
Doing
All right.
well. Best day of my life, man.
All right. All right. That's right.
Absolutely. Well, hey, in full disclosure, I have to say that Ronnie and Marlon are kinfolks of mine. So we do have a family of entrepreneurs, and I'm very proud of these guys. And we were joking before we came on the show, and they're quite a bit younger than me, obviously, as you can probably tell by looking at us. I said, man, I remember y'all riding around on bicycles with little football helmets and stuff on. And
Yeah,
Mike said, now they're making football helmets. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
that's right.
But Rap Sports is a company that produces sports apparel, and they are very unique in that they have started and they're now expanding their international production. And because that is something that most folks aren't doing, I definitely want to get you guys on here to share with our audience, the processes you've gone through, the trial and errors, but what Ramp Sports is today, how it got to be that way. But the most important part we want to also highlight is how you got in your international manufacturing and where you're going in the future with that. So I'm very excited, very delighted to have you guys with us. So if you would, and we'll start with Marlon first, tell our audience a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and then we'll take it over there to Ronnie. So Marlon, introduce yourself,
A-
please.
Absolutely. And thank you, Tony, for having us today, man. We're excited about this opportunity. And I'm a country boy from Columbus, Georgia. I'm one of seven kids from Gloria and Rudolph Allen. I proudly say that because
Indeed.
ultimately, at our core, we're we're all about family, and so family has been a big part of my success, a big part of who I am today. And so grew up in Columbus, Georgia, public education up through Shaw High School, graduated there, received an offer from Columbus State University to play baseball and basketball, and which leads to our passion for sports, or my passion for sports, and really the relationship that Ronnie and I will talk about it, I'm sure later. What makes our relationship so special is the days we had in the backyard with a broomstick and proper people call it sweet gum corns or whatever, but we call them cuckabugs.
Yep.
So from the sweet gum tree, we call them cuckabugs. But
Yeah.
that's how we began to play baseball, man. We would be in the
Wow.
backyard, swinging a broomstick, hitting cuckabugs, having home run derbies and things like that. And so our relationship in terms of sports grew from there. And then after Columbus State University, after my junior year, I was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds to play professional baseball. Spent about 5 years doing that, playing, made it up to AAA. Coached 1 year as a hitting instructor for single A team out in Clinton, Iowa.
No.
And then life took a turn once they told me I was too old at 26 years of age. That
Oh,
they were
wow.
going in a more youthful. Yeah, that's the world. That's the world of
Right.
sports that
Yeah.
most
Mhm.
people don't know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, got a real job with the Boy Scouts of America. Spent 12 years with them. Left there, went into ministry. Started a church in 2010. Um, Unfortunately, that didn't pan out the way we wanted it to. But ministry is still a part of our life and some of the things that we do with the youth in our community. And about the end of that is when Ronnie uh, contacted me, and we'll hear a little bit more about that story. Ronnie contacted me, and about that time, that's when Ramp Marketing was birthed, and here we are today on on your show, and excited to be here. So I
Wow.
have I'm married, 18 years, got two beautiful kids that I'm proud of every day. MJ Allen, he's junior, and
Mm.
he's 13 years of age, and Sarah Marie, who essentially runs the family, she's 10.
Fantastic, man. Well, thank you for that introduction. All right, Ron, it's your time in the spotlight. Pick that up and tell us about your coming up and how you and Marlon wound up here today, and we'll keep it going from there.
Thank you, Tony and Milton. Ronnie Pollard, also from Columbus, Georgia, born and raised, graduated from Carver High School. Go Tigers. Um,
Carver.
Air
That's right.
Force vet. I'm a retired Air Force vet. Uh, spent a little time after high school in the Army Reserve before I started to go um, active duty. Didn't
Okay,
want to do
I
the
knew something
Army,
about
so I
you had some Army in you. Okay.
so so I got smart and joined the Air Force, and that took me all over the world. I lived in Korea, Italy, um, and after Italy, that brought me out here to Texas. Stayed in West Texas about 6-7 years, and ended my Air Force career in Dallas Fort Worth. I stay on the Fort Worth side.
Okay.
Um, and so that's pretty much been my career. I went overseas for a year and a half and contracted in Saudi Arabia,
Hmm.
and then came back to Fort Worth and started working for Lockheed Martin. Once I got to Texas, everybody knows that's a football state.
Right.
I coached youth leagues, basketball, football, and that's how I found my way into
Sweet.
We lost.
who's almost like my
Okay.
brother. We basically grew up together,
Right.
lived together. Hey, everybody was in the Allen's house. It's about 12 of us, and me and Marlon slept in what was essentially the closet of the house. They put a bunk bed in the
Yep,
closet, and that was
Hmm.
for me
that's
and
right.
Marlon because so many
Yeah,
people was in the house. So that shows how close our relationship is, and that's
Uh,
why
yeah,
I think Grant Market has been such a success because
yeah.
we've known each other all our lives, and we just don't have too many issues like that.
But
So
that
very
is
easy.
fantastic.
That's that's Ronnie Pollard.
All right, man.
let
That's
let me
fantastic.
hey Tony, let me
Yeah, go ahead.
clarify that
Hmm.
that room that we stayed in, I mean, that really has a significant amount of meaning to us.
Okay.
It was about a 10 foot by 10 foot room, so if you can
Okay.
imagine 100 square feet, that's not big at all.
No.
I don't even know if it was 10 feet, right? It
It was
probably was less than that.
about an 8 by
But it
8.
was it was small back in the day, and a bunk, we couldn't get anything in the room but a bunk bed and a dresser. That
Right.
was about it. So but yeah, Ronnie mentioned that was the really the beginning of our relationship,
Well,
and how exciting it was. So
that is fantastic. Well, I want to make this comment before we move along. Now, I'm between Vince and Rudy, and I remember
right.
when my brothers and I would come visit y'all in Columbus, Roberta, which is the real country. I remember telling them, I said, man, I never want to live in the city because we used to run around in the woods and fields. I said, y'all got y'all fenced in yards and stuff like that. Here
Yep.
I've been living for the past 30 some odd years.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
and then and I remember coming out to Roberta and
yeah.
being able to jumping on a trampoline and running around and yeah, oh man, it was amazing. Some great times.
Yeah, we got a beautiful family all the way around, man. So it's just excited for this. Well, we're gonna get on into the details here. All right, so just from the standpoint of the origins of Ramp, I want to ask Ronnie, tell the viewers in say 2 to 3 minutes how this company actually started. Okay. Yeah, run that down so everybody knows. It all started with an event, an idea, but give us that chronology.
Right. Okay. I mentioned that I was coaching youth sports. So my son played for a team, and another cousin of ours, Lorenzo, he had a hookup on t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So this was one of the largest teams in Fort Worth, and they were pretty good. So most of the organization participated, and was involved in this team. So I took this hookup of t-shirts, and I start flipping the t-shirts out of my truck. In about 3 months, I think I did over 1,000 t-shirts.
Wow.
I did. I flipped 100, took my profit, bought another 100. By the end of that season, I was doing hoodies, raglan shirts, and everything else. So I think the president of the league actually thought that's what I did when I really didn't. I was just, I had a guy who was doing my designs and I could get the t-shirts for cheap, so I did it. But president thought I was really into this t-shirt business, so he came up to me and asked, could I do his basketball uniforms?
Right.
And I had no clue how to do a basketball uniforms, but me and my spirit, I said, of course I could do it.
Exactly.
Yes, I'll do your basketball uniform. Right. So I knew Marlon had some graphic design knowledge, and I asked him to design me a uniform, and we went on Epic Sports. It's a website that sells pretty much clearance and cheaper items, nothing custom, just stock. Showed Marlon that uniform and let him put a design to it.
Right.
And hey, that's the beginning of Ramp. That is the true beginning of Ramp. And
wow.
Marlon saw the potential behind it. I think we did over 100 uniforms. And he saw the potential. And by the end of it, he was in too. We were both in, and through research and finding out different relationships and how to go about doing it, we grew from there. So we grew from a hustle to now it's a 100% legit business that we operate yearly.
Man, that's phenomenal. Now, the moral of that story is when presented with an opportunity, take it.
Exactly.
That's right.
Because necessity is the mother of invention. Now that you made that commitment, you're gonna figure out how to make it all come to fruition.
I figured it out later. I say yes, sir.
Amen. Now, Marlon, I'm going to ask you because you had a little different take on the origins there, but then too, I also want you to tell that story. I'd asked you all the question off camera. What is the name Ramp? Where did that come from?
Right.
So you can include that in your response or your addition to the comments as well.
Yeah. I jokingly say that he asked me to do a design, and he asked me to do one design, and then he demanded that I do every other design from that point on. And so even today, he'll shoot me something and he'll say, "Hey man, can you get this done, ASAP?" And I don't know exactly what that means. But yeah, I have
it means money.
Yes, that's right.
I need this one.
Yep, that's right. But yeah, man, I'm a pretty much a shade tree self-taught graphic designer,
Mm,
and my degree is in computer information management. So I can easily navigate software programs or whatever, and a videographer, video graphic design, and all that stuff. So anyway, out of that, and there's a part of the story that I'm gonna add to what Ronnie mentioned
mm-hmm.
when he came to me to ask me for those designs. About 2 months earlier, prior to that, I just started my son's travel baseball team, and we were ordering uniforms. And I went to a college teammate of mine who was a sales rep of a major brand in baseball. Went to him in November of one year and said, "Hey, man, here," or I ordered the uniforms in November.
Mm-hmm.
Got a call from him about February saying that they were not going to be ready until the end of March. Well, our season started at the beginning of March.
Right.
So while I was doing graphic designs, I'm in the sports industry with my son and his baseball teams, and we're ordering uniforms, and all of this kind of, it was a unique intersection
Right.
of what I was involved in to what Ronnie was involved in, and out of that frustration, that was the first baseball jerseys that we did, because Ronnie was researching. He mentioned he was researching all the while international suppliers.
Right.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think that was our first or second job that we got done, and got those jerseys turned around in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. Cut off the order from my my
But
teammate. Yeah, cut off that order, and then from there on, man, we were pretty much ahead. And so Ramp came about. We were sitting around on the phone trying to think of a name. You know, we know that there are some major brands out there with unique names, and we wanted our name to mean something. And I have to give credit to my wife. She was sitting around. We had threw out some names. Can't even remember the other ones, because Ramp was made such a huge impression. But Ramp is essentially Ronnie's initial R and P, and my
mm-hmm.
initial, the M and A. And even at the time when we started, when we called the name Ramp, we didn't really know how it was going to evolve into what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, the brand of Ramp simply is the fact that when we come in contact with a business or a sports organization, we want that partnership to be one where those individuals that we're working with, they will hit the ramp,
Right.
And their business will take off. And so you're going to see hashtags on our social media, Ramp It Up.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we come in contact, when somebody call us, our question is, how do you want to ramp it up?
Oh,
What do you need to ramp up right now? Whether it's uniforms, and I still do some graphic designs, if it's logos, some websites, a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
what is it you want to ramp up? And I guarantee you we can make that happen. So that's pretty much how the name came about, man, and it really sticks. It's funny, we were traveling from Atlanta to Columbus one time, and we were driving down 85,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter saw a street sign that said Ramp on it. And it was funny. She pointed to it and said, "Hey, Daddy, there's Ramp. There's Ramp." But they were just talking about the highway ramp.
Right.
So
you made that
right,
impression.
baby.
You made that impression. That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Well, hey, Maestro, we do have any shout outs for viewers that tuned in this morning? Any questions for Ronnie or Marlon at this point?
No questions just yet, but we do have some shout outs. Shout out to Nikki Johnson. She's joining us again. Hey Nikki. Robert Bloom. He's in the building right now. Andrea Pollard also is here. So
yeah. So
yeah, that's it for right now.
Well,
everybody else is just listening.
We thank you all for tuning in. I do want to mention that Nikki McNeely Johnson, I'm not sure if I got the last name in the right order there, but Nikki is our new leader of customer care with the Private Money Syndicate. She's been, I guess I'll say on audition for the past 3 months, doing a great job. So we have her on the website. So Nikki, glad to have you here. You're doing a great job supporting the team. All right. All right. Now moving things along. Now, whichever one of you gentlemen answers this question. Now, the unique thing, or one of the unique things about Ramp is that you all have a supply chain that starts in Pakistan, where you have your manufacturing, and then of course you have logistics, and then you have your distribution and fulfillment here in the United States. So tell me how that business model evolved. I know we just talked about the circumstances that all confluenced to ignite what has become Ramp Sports, but what was the logic in that? So if you could explain that in a sense that we have viewers who would like to really understand how they can benefit from that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ronnie. You're the expert in the supply chain.
Okay, so I basically started researching overseas manufacturing, knowing that was going to be, if we were going to grow and grow on a steady pace, I knew we had to find out how to get our items cheaper and become the custom company that we wanted to become. So I basically Googled. I Googled. I started contacting different brokers, different companies. And through that, I found maybe 4 or 5 people. And we started communicating what they can do, communicating what I wanted, and and establishing a relationship. Now, many of those relationships they didn't work because
Right.
what I wanted was, hey, this is what I want to pay. This is what has to happen. And I still need what rent market is, which is a custom. We advertise no stock. We
Right.
don't do stock items. We are, if you want custom design for your company, that is what we do. So just establishing those relationships, and once we invested and got our samples, learned a little bit more, established a good rapport with a few guys, that's when we started doing stuff. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a growth process that we'll talk about later in this conversation. But it was a growth process, but that's pretty much what we did. And our cost, as far as logistics and shipping and all that, we wanted prices out, what we say, out the door.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to tell me something costs this, and then when we get to the end, you trying to hit me with shipping. So there is a method of going about it,
Okay.
and believe it or not, there is a power you have, and that power rests in the fact that you don't give up and continue to draw revenue to your business. The more revenue you bring, the more you got power over those guys that sometimes you've never met. Now, we do video calls, we do conversations, we talk
Right.
to, but in the beginning, your power is very small, you
Mm.
know, and things go on within that we'll discuss also. But
Okay.
that's pretty much how we evolved. We didn't want to be stock, so we had to get away from that epic sports story I told you. We wanted to be full custom. We wanted, we wanted to shine. We
Got
wanted, if you see us and you see them, you're gonna be like, who did that one? And that's us.
it. That's
Right.
fantastic. Now,
And
you bring me to the other end of the spectrum. So now, what is your marketing and sales process that creates and generates the market demand, that creates the orders that ultimately get your manufacturing geared up over in Pakistan to produce the product? Who handles that part of the
Yeah.
process?
Yeah. I can speak to that, man.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, our Ronnie and I, man, we're a people person. We love people. And I'll say at our marketing strategy, if you want to call it that, it's really all about assuring folks that we're going to take care of you. We're
Mm.
going to take care of you. I mean, and people say customer service, and I think sometimes that's just the word that we throw out.
Mm-hmm.
People say it's my pleasure. A lot of times I think they're trying to sound like they are with that big chicken company, you know, but you got to think we made a commitment to not sell any major brands, which we could have and still can today. We made a commitment in what we believed in, and we said we're going to have to look people in the eye and set expectations for what we can do for them, listen to their expectations, and do everything we could to really meet it. And so it really came from, as Ronnie mentioned, that team out in Texas,
Right.
knowing that he can produce T-shirts. And as we research more and more about our international suppliers, we learned and got samples in. And Ronnie mentioned we invest. We want people to know, if you want to go in business, and if you are thinking about having or looking for producers over in the international market, you got to be willing to make that investment in yourself and your vision. And so we said we're not going to spare any expense to make sure we can get a quality product that has our logo, has our brand, and we can be proud of. And so we built up from there. And so with Ronnie starting out with that big team out in Texas, like you say, everything is big in Texas. They say everything is bigger in Texas. So
yeah,
I'm telling you, man, we were blessed because we had one of the best youth football teams in Texas that trusted Ronnie, that said, man, we're going to give you a chance to do these uniforms. Boom. We met those expectations the first year, and then word got out. People talk about the word of mouth.
exactly.
We just now, probably 6 months ago, became a little bit more aggressive in our social media strategy, where we are buying ads through Facebook and other platforms. Before then, 3 years ago, it was all word of mouth. It was me walking up to a person saying, hey, I believe I can help you out with this, and here's what we believe we can do.
Right.
And as people say, entrepreneurship is all about the risk. When Ronnie told that person that we could do uniforms, that was a big risk. Because let me just tell you, there is not a mama out there that want their son or their daughter to play a game and they don't look good.
Exactly. You're right. You're right.
That uniform, and I'm gonna tell you. So the risk that we take in this industry, and being able to meet those really, really high expectations in the world of sports, has really become how we've been able to navigate this business. So we've made tons of mistakes. And Tony, the best thing that we could have ever done, and this is to our customers, the best thing that you can ever do is look that person in the eye and say, listen, I can't get it to you now, but I'm going to make this right, and I'm going to get it to you. I just ask you to be patient.
Right.
And with that came us, whether it was lowering the cost that we had initially agreed on, or whether it was us having to reproduce that entire order.
Right.
That's pretty much how we came about it. And so right now, coupled with word of mouth and then our social media strategy that we now have, that's pretty much how we get business, how we acquire our customer acquisition, how we acquire customers, and essentially how we keep them.
Gotcha. And let me take a teaching moment for everybody. That first big order is serendipitous as it was. That was proof of concept, because in other words, once you've done it and it works, I mean, the whole model, you acquire the customer, you produce, you deliver, you got paid. I mean, when you're starting a business and you're either looking to draw in capital as far as debt, or if it's an investor, when you hear the term proof of concept, that means you went from order to gotten paid for it. You got the entire linkages and processes in place. So that's proof of concept, and that was a great story that went along with that. Before I proceed to the next question, I was going to ask Milton if he had a question, or if we got anything that popped up from any questions from the viewers or shout outs that you want to make.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot.
Okay.
So let's start where we left off. Mr. Quentin Henry is joining us. He says, "What's up, fellas?" And Carmen Dowdle, she's here. Dowdell. And Mr. Robert Bloom says very smart businessman. I agree. Lorenzo Dowdell Jr. Uh, Rosie Bloom is here. Toya Pollard, Brian Johnson, and yeah, that's it. But they're just all agreeing and letting us know that they're here. And I gotta say, we got we got a large audience joining us this show. So it's a lot of people that's listening. So
Man, that is fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Maestro. All right, so tell us about what it's like doing business with international suppliers. You mentioned, nowadays we think of doing stuff in Zoom. Before then, it was zooming across the waters in a plane. So maybe COVID-19 did us a little favor in that regard, but still, like you said, you got to have the trust, you got to actually transact all the details. So I guess in a 5 to 7 minutes answer, y'all can tag team however you want to do it. What's the magic sauce that y'all have distilled in being successful, and what are some of the booby traps maybe stepped on, and how did you resolve those so that people can learn from your lessons?
I'm gonna say patience, and I'm gonna say patience is the key. But then I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna turn it over to Ronnie and let him talk.
Ronnie started laughing when I asked the question, so you must have. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Part of that evolution, and one of my first mistakes is I told that big team in Texas, I'll give you your best deal if you bring me more teams.
Okay.
They brought me about 5 teams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You really had to ramp it up then, right?
Yeah, literally.
Literally, right?
Let's make a deal.
Quite literally.
So now we've established a semi-relationship with our guy in Pakistan.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say we overloaded them, but what we were expecting didn't happen, and that was part of the growth process. Learning the language, not learning their language, but learning our language together. Establishing how we were going to communicate, which is most of the time is going to be, we use an app called WhatsApp, and that's going to be your main source of communication. Being able to wake up early, they are what 10 hours ahead of us. You got to get up early if you want to meet when they are working. You got to get up early, or you're going to stay up late, or you're going to stay up when they wake up, do whatever they have to do, and get to work. So you have to establish those boundaries and get that together to know, hey, this is going to be the time when I'm working, especially if you got another job. Your time is going to stretch out much longer because you have to get up early, stay up late. You have to establish that communication part of it, and then you got to be willing. We as Americans or in USA, we think we know so much when we don't. I've learned so much about materials, thicknesses, different type, what goes good for baseball versus basketball. And I learned that from a guy in Pakistan.
Wow.
Yes, through samples, but hey, our guy now, which is not the guy I'm talking about that we first started with, but our guy now has pretty much educated us on what works best for this sport versus that sport versus what a parent is going to wear. They're not wearing the same materials as the sports guy, and that's part of the growth of the business, that hey, you got to constantly want to learn that, and you're going to be learning from them because we truly only know what we wear. Unless you're in this business, you only know what you wear, and you probably don't know how detailed that goes.
Man, that's
and so it's just a constant communication. It's constant. I spend many hours a day in communication with those guys, learning. Hey, saying, send me this swatch of material. Show what's new. What new what we got new this year that we can use, and that's how you evolve.
Right. Well, let me ask this. Tell us one thing that somebody who's wanting to go down this path needs to look out for, to be wary of, or make sure you do to, make it work out for you, as opposed to, wind up on the side of the road on fire or something like that?
Yeah, I would just say, man, in every business, whether domestic or international, um, it's you. There are people that have their own interests at heart,
Hmm.
and I know as businessmen, as entrepreneurs, we carry that business as if it's our baby, and it is our baby, and so we want the best for it, and we got to understand that the same way we're growing a business over here, they are also growing a business and trying to support their families.
Right.
But the thing that you really have to uh, you got to do your due diligence in terms of research.
Hmm.
Uh, Today we have more information at our fingertips than we've ever had. Ronnie
Right.
said the first thing he did was go on Uber. I mean on Google. I said
Hmm.
Uber, go on Google.
Right.
And yes, that was back then. That was pretty much the first spot. But internationally, there's a platform called Alibaba, which is
Hmm.
an app that you can download on your phone. That is a basically it's a portal of international suppliers. Okay,
Okay.
from that, if you were trying to dig into it and develop a product, that's the first place I would tell you to go, because you can read up on suppliers, you can see um, the reviews, you can see some of the assurances that you have in doing business with them, and that just gives you a sense of confidence, based on the information that you're receiving from Alibaba.
Right.
Um, and that would be the number one thing that I would say. And like I said, be patient, because when there is a language barrier, if I'm doing business over in China, Pakistan, Mexico, that language barrier presents a huge challenge, because they may interpret my expectations in a different way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. You just made me think of something. When Chevrolet was selling a Chevy Nova in the United States, they started trying to sell them in Mexico, and no ba, the V has a B sound, means no go.
Yep.
It won't go. So,
No go. That's right. Yep.
so why can't we sell these cars in Mexico? Because it means it won't go. But yeah, I mean those
Yeah.
those nuances and those things are really important. And now you started on a topic that was going to be next up, which was 3 bits of advice. I think you gave a couple, but we won't enumerate them and say 1, 2, 3. But what are some other things? Let's just say that I wanted to mimic uh, what you guys were doing, just to make the mental process simpler. Uh, what would you? All right, I heard Roddy say he researched, and then y'all made some connections through some brokers. But I want to evolve to the next level where you guys have decided you want to do your own manufacturing over there. So let's take it to advice if why you're choosing to do it, some of the risks that you said are worth taking
Mhm.
for the benefit that you're going to derive. And if you want to walk me through that process in say 5 minutes of conversation, what would you tell me I need to do and why I should do that as opposed to having it made domestically or brokering it, which is what you guys started off doing. I have my own manufacturing processes abroad in Pakistan.
Uh, First thing is if you're married, talk to your wife.
Okay. Okay. I mean, everything's important. So glad you
Hey,
brought it out. Right.
talk to your spouse, number
Mhm.
one, because it's time consuming. I can't stress that enough. It is time consuming. Two, the money is gonna come, the
Mhm.
profit is gonna come, but you have to invest. You nothing is free. Nothing is free. And I'll tell you, me and Marlon both have invested to the point of almost, I know for me being scared.
Mhm.
And it's crazy that I listened to a lot of Rick Ross, but I was listening to an interview And Rick Ross was saying the people that don't make it is the people that don't go to the next day
Mm-hmm.
and give up on this day and don't push past it, and they just give up. And that's what we did not do. I've had complete football teams that came to me wrong.
Yeah.
And hey, I got to get to that next day. My motto is what's the solution? Let's quit
Mm-hmm.
talking about the problems. Let's get to the solution. And when I started thinking like that, the profits started coming because that's how I tell my customers to think. When it comes wrong, let's get to the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to invest to figure out exactly what you're going to be getting. And my third thing as far as getting into this business is um, try right now we're trying to get I want to be the distributor. I want to be what those guys in Pakistan are.
Okay.
I'm trying right now to get into Pakistan, build a factory, and become the guy that the Americans or wherever you are can trust. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to trust me before you trust them. And that's kind of how, I mean, that's part of how we built this business too. People
Okay.
trust us. You can always go get a cheaper uniform than rent.
Right.
However, we get our business from trust. Everybody has an idea of
Mm-hmm.
how somewhere is, especially when you're dealing that close to the manufacturing. You can trust some, you can't. We right now use maybe two people.
Okay.
And we've used as many as 7, 8, and we learned from that and dwindled it down to, hey, these are the guys we trust. Let's make our mistakes with the guys we trust.
Exactly.
So, again, uh, always strive to be that next step, because you can get stagnated and you, once again, you won't get to that profit that you really want. And
Okay.
so that's what we're doing right now, trying to get to that next step. And I truly believe and know in my heart that I'm going to be a distributor of people here with my own factory supplying whomever.
Man, that's awesome. Marlon, you got anything to add to that?
Uh, I would just say, and Ronnie spoke to it, talking about trust, man. You you got to be able to invest in relationships. Number one, invest in your potential customers, invest in your employees and the folks that you're working with. And then when there's an opportunity to develop a new relationship, man, you got to be. I think sincerity of your heart is so important. You're going into this knowing that this human being has something that you could potentially use. And so, number one, what can you give to that relationship? I'm always a big proponent of bring something to the table. So
Right.
what can I bring to the table, because I already know what they're going to bring to the table. I have an expectation, for them, they have some of me. And when we invest in those relationships, I think both there's a win-win in all regards. And then, our business becomes even stronger. So.
Hmm. Okay. Now, I guess one last question on the international thing. Now, the clear benefit that most people just reflexively think about when it comes to sourcing internationally is it costs less. But are there other benefits that you all have discerned from your experiences to sourcing overseas versus, a domestic source? And then when I say overseas, if you looked at Pakistan versus India versus China, wherever your different options were, and you settled on Pakistan, what were some of the considerations that went into making that choice?
Yeah, I would just say, um, I obviously cost, because everybody, if you're in business to make money, right? And so that's the first and foremost thing that comes to mind. Ronnie and I, we talk, as you mentioned, 7 days a week, and we're talking about how can we cut costs so that we can increase revenue, increase profits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would just say that for us starting in Pakistan, with those suppliers there, um, and the way that our business has grown, it really has kind of limited us to branch out to other countries or other places um, to to explore other factories. And so we're getting to that point right now because we got a much better handle on our business. Um, um, and then I would say the other benefit of it all is the fact that we can control how this product looks. We can control. I mean, yes, I can go to a place here locally, and they can do pretty much in some cases the same thing that our international suppliers do.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that turns me away, obviously, is that it's going to be more. It's going to cost more, But then um, we're digging into an area, particularly in Pakistan, where these guys are doing this year round. They've been doing it longer. The
Mm-hmm.
industry is well developed, and we think that those aspects, just bring about some additional benefits. And so
Right.
some of the major brands that we watch and that we observe and that have come before us, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important for us to learn from them. They are doing business, overseas. You look in the back of your shirt, right?
Right.
You look in the back of your shirt and see where it's made. And so those companies that have come before us have really been trailblazers in terms of the way that fabrics are engineered, you know, the patterns of different products. And so for us to be there in that area, knowing that they have access to that information,
Right.
as opposed to here domestically saying, okay, I'm it's going to take me a little longer to sit down, develop the patterns, and to do the things I need to do here to get that final product is one of the major
Okay.
benefits. And one thing that we've had to overcome, and I think Ronnie may have mentioned it, is helping people to understand that everything is well, I'll say not everything, but a lot of products, particularly
Mm-hmm.
in the sporting industry, are made overseas. We've
Yeah.
had we've come into many customers that say, well, I want to use somebody local. Okay. Yes, I get that. And what they're speaking about is that relationship, being able to have
Right.
access to that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but we've had to educate customers to know that, okay, I know that you want this local presence or this access to a person that's in your town. But just know, if they don't have a sewing machine in their garage or in their warehouse, it's coming from
Not local.
overseas.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't, and again, being of the age I am now, fabrics have been coming out of India and Pakistan since,
Yeah,
that's the fabric capital of the world, so to speak. In
that's
that
right.
region. So I mean, suits or whatever you're wearing, a lot of times the actual material was produced in Pakistan or India, no matter where the actual sewing was done or what have you. So y'all have actually tapped into some antiquity, but you brought it into the 21st century. I want to go back to the maestro, see if he has any questions or if there's anybody else who's posted anything in the chat and any shout outs.
Yes, there's a lot of questions, so I think we should
Yep.
spend some
Let's
time
take
on that real
about
quick.
10 minutes.
Um,
Okay.
so Tanya Paula asked, "What keeps you guys from throwing in the towel?"
So you're making money now.
I
But go
tell you,
ahead.
I tell you what, and I'm not gonna give the exact numbers, but if you knew what we did our first year compared to this year, and we've hired more people, you wouldn't throw in the towel. You wouldn't you wouldn't throw in the towel. And before this pandemic, I remember, I think I told my wife and I told Marlon I had done about 4 or 5 basketball teams, and it was maybe the first year that it was almost perfect. And
Hmm.
I called Marlon. I said, Marlon, this is the year. I
Hmm.
knew. And that March, I think I finished up around February. I was about to move. Marlon moves into baseball, and I moved into football, started design work and stuff. And I was like, dude, this is the year. I feel it. And the pandemic hit, and that pushed us back. And, and that's what keeps me going.
Wow.
I called Marlon again, and I was like, hey, man, everybody wearing these masks. I said, I think we're gonna be wearing
Yeah.
these masks for a long time.
Yep.
During that pandemic, we did. I don't even know the count anymore. How many masks we've done, and that became part of the business.
So y'all doing
Right.
team masks,
Huh?
custom masks? Y'all doing like,
Custom masks, custom.
man,
Any design, anything you want on it. We started doing masks,
get us
and
some
my
private money
message
syndicate
today
masks.
was that.
I said, send me an order for them. I need some private money syndicate masks.
Oh yeah,
We got
oh yeah, and we can do it. And you know what? I go up, like I said, I go research and I
Uh,
undercut everybody.
well,
That's
there's a
how we
logo
do
right there behind the maestro.
Yep.
it.
We can do it.
All right, what
But
All
other
right.
questions?
yeah,
What other
So
so
questions we got?
yeah, let's get to it because
Yeah.
we got quite a
okay.
few. How do you balance quality with price when picking a manufacturer? I think you kind of talked about that just a little bit, but
Yeah.
in that specific light, how do you balance
Right.
it?
Right. It's number one, it is us having our vision for our product, right? And and we don't want to sacrifice. We don't want to compromise the quality of our product. And even to the point of saying, if this product comes to us and it is not the quality that we want to give to our customers, then obviously it's going to cost us more money. One thing that we're doing right now, we are also seeing a segment in our customers in terms of what they are willing to pay. So you have Ronnie started out doing t-shirts. Okay, those t-shirts, 15, $18 price point. Well, now we're seeing customers that want fan jerseys that you see fans wearing, of their favorite NFL team on Sundays. Well, we're producing fan jerseys to the tune of a customer paying $40 to $65 for an authentic fan jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And so the balance comes with what the market is really demanding from us in terms of that specific product.
Okay.
So we know that in this pandemic that income has been slashed in a lot of areas. And so we got to make sure that we don't compromise quality of our uniforms, but that we also are able, it may be us helping out a team with a lower price
Mm-hmm.
to make that happen. So,
Gotcha. All right, we got time for a couple of minutes on one last question, Mill, if we got another one in there. And for everybody in the chat, if your question's there, Ronnie and Marlon, I'll ask y'all to go into the Facebook page and answer any we don't get to. So yeah, one more, Mill.
yeah.
We got another one.
I'm say some comments too. Brian says, I think everything sounds good, and these conversations are the next step during these difficult times. Um, see, Lawana Hayes says, happy to see a CSU grad and an Air Force vet on today. Love how you all have been able to manage working with overseas vendors.
Yep.
And so Nikki says, what steps do you take when you are challenged with a problem in shipping and receiving in your industry? And what marketing strategies do you use to promote in this industry?
All right, we got 2 minutes. That's all right. So I saw both of y'all light up. So
I'll go first. So yeah, like I said, we only use a couple of people. We got what I call, Marlon may think different. I call him the fast guy. We got a slower guy. So we pretty much know by number our manufacturing times. We know if we give you this many, it's gonna take 10 days, 14 days, 21 days. But we allow the shipping to come. Right now, shipping is very slow. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen during the pandemic, it was taking 2, 3 weeks. We moved over to FedEx. FedEx was doing 4 days, and now FedEx is taking longer now. So you gotta allow yourself that time and be honest with your customer.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is coming back in a week. There, when you're dealing with this, is very few what they call rush orders. Again, with us, we
Right.
have to stress this is custom. This is not a stock item. Custom
Right.
items take time. You know,
Right.
if that's the business you want to go into, if you're doing stock, you can do that quickly. But this is not a quick turnaround thing. So you got to gain the knowledge, know your guys, know how long it's gonna take to manufacture, and add on. Just like you order some online, it's gonna say 4 to 6 weeks, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we do. Hey,
Okay.
it's
Right.
gonna take
Right.
4 to 6 weeks, but you know what? Within that 4 weeks, if I get it to you in 3 weeks, you are a happy customer. Now I know I have your business again. So I'm gonna allow myself give you the time undercut. I'm a try my best to undercut that time to make sure you're a happy customer, but I'm gonna allow myself to get that full order in.
All right.
Yep.
Well, hey, let me, I guess with time running short, give you guys, whichever one, I guess Marlon, let you take it. Do your 2 minute commercial for Ramp Sports and or Ramp
Hey,
Marketing Company to get the phone ringing, the website pumping.
yeah. Yeah, first of all, want to encourage all of our viewers to connect with us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and also Twitter. And our mission statement at Ramp is to infuse every, and I'm just going to read this to you, infuse every athlete with passion, creativity, and inspiration to take off. We say athlete, but our customers span across the board. And the way that we do this is, as I mentioned earlier, it's through the relationships that we have that drives everything that may seem impossible to the average person. We believe it's impossible to us. And at the core of our business, when you connect with us, we're going to do everything we can to help you increase performance. Um, I remember my older brother telling me, man, if you look good, you play good. And I used to wake up in the morning ironing my baseball pants simply because my brother said, hey, if you look good, you're going to play good. I believe that. And so
Awesome.
when we connect with our athletes, we want them. They are a walking billboard for our company. And we want to make sure that uniform not only looks good in terms of the design, but it fits properly, and somebody can essentially walk up to them and say, "Man, you look good."
Awesome.
But here's how we do it.
All
We
right. Got
we
30
we we
seconds.
meet our mission by developing a passionate relationship with our people, by
Mhm.
leveraging boundless creativity, by introducing unimagined innovation, by building a diverse global team, and by making a positive impact in the communities where we live, work, and play. Thank y'all so much, man.
We're delighted.
www.rampmarketingco.com is where you can find us.
All right, fantastic. Hey, Ronnie and Marlon, delighted to have had you guys on this morning. Great story, Ramp Marketing Company. You got get your orders fulfilled, and I want to place an order for some masks. Everybody,
We
thanks for
got you.
tuning in this morning. This is a show to help you grow, and these are clients of the Private Money Syndicate, so watch their growth. And we say always, if you're going to go in business and stay in business, you got to mind your business. So thank you. And with that, I want to turn it to the maestro to take us on home.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this Saturday. Thank you. Thank you to our guests. We really appreciate your wisdom and your insight and sharing it with us. And definitely look forward to working with you guys. And thank you, Tony, as always, for your leadership. And we're signing out. We're gonna enjoy the rest of our Saturday. We hope y'all do the same. Take care.
All right, be safe.